Tell me when. Oh,
Yeah.
does that mean we're on?
Okay, we are on.
Hi guys. Oh, exciting. Oh.
We are on here. We are live from the Hatchery. I'm Akello Stone, and this is Krista Suh.
Hi.
Tell us, what is the Hatchery, Krista?
Hatchery is a co-working space in Larchmont Village. It's really close to Paramount Studios, and it's just a nice home office that's not at home, honestly, but it has the benefits of a home office, a real office, and a cafe all in one, and I love it here. Yeah.
So we're actually broadcasting on Facebook Live with the Mevo camera. I'm getting a little plug. We're talking about truth, and we did some kind of impromptu things a few weeks ago, and then we decided we wanted to get on here and talk about some things and make it interesting. I came up with the topic of truth because I think it's a five-letter word. We try to stay away from the four-letter words. But what do you like when you say the word truth? So we had a little pre-discussion, but we didn't get too deep in it because we want to keep it live. So Krista, tell me, what do you think of, what first comes to mind when you hear truth?
Truth, I think of the truth that we keep inside, honestly, secrets, things we're ashamed of. Because I think, there are a lot of things that are true that we're not ashamed of that we don't think about much because it's just out there, right? But I think about how to bring out our inner truths that we're keeping locked in, and I think that's a lot of what art is.
Okay, and I think that's interesting because, you've already opened up a theme, and that's what I love, the spontaneous dialogue, is truth is something that is hidden from us, right?
The capital T truth, I think it's if it's so obvious, we don't really care to search for it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But to be a truth seeker is...
So when we think about truth, you're talking about, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, about personal truth. But what about truth in terms of what is universal truth?
Oh, actually, I want to ask you that because Akello has been an educator for many years, so I feel like you can bring us the philosophy.
I don't want to dominate the conversation because I could talk about myself for hours. I actually get paid to do it from time to time. But actually, when I think of truth, I think of the actual thing that happened, that regardless of perception, it is. When I think of truth, of course, I'm a behavioral scientist, so I come from a science background, and I look at evidence to the fact. And from my perspective, and it's a hard thing to say, the only truth that I could say, indisputable truth about when we're talking about human existence and our human experience in this realm, if you will, is we all will die, and everything changes. That's number 2. Mm-hmm. And number 3 is it's all uncertain.
I would agree with that, yeah.
So then what do we do with that?
Well, I'll add also I'll say the only thing is certain is death and taxes. But I feel a lot of people don't pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. That's a way to get people to pay taxes is to put that in there. Let me switch things a little bit around because I have this on here. I have some notes. People use the term reality. What is that, and how does that intersect or not intersect with the truth?
Oh God. Okay. I'm a big believer that everything is subjective. I don't think there's one objective, say beauty. I don't think there's one beauty standard. I think that is completely subjective. And it might feel objective, it might feel like the truth and the one reality that we have one beauty standard, but that's just something that's been built for a really long time. Do you know what I mean? And that can be changed actively or just on its own.
Well, that's interesting that you use beauty and aesthetics as this, what people believe to be true about how appearance is, what the standards, the reference points that are used. That becomes, in essence, what we perceive to be true becomes true.
Yeah.
And then the more people that believe that it's true, that's how I describe reality, is a collective perception about something that we think is true.
It's a collective agreement that we forget we agreed to.
Yeah.
Like we just think
Yeah.
it is. Like, you know? Yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, if you think about it, we're raised as children to believe certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to get deep into what I think people should or should not believe. Because I believe, and that's funny because what I believe is that if people believe in something and it's helpful to them and not harmful to others, then that belief system is significant and important.
Valid.
Yeah. When a belief system invalidates someone else's belief system and causes harm, that's when it becomes problematic.
Yeah, I think for me a lot of it has to do with self-harm, like how much your belief system may or may not be serving you. Like I think, for example, like let's say a high school student is gay and hasn't come out yet, right? And he's maybe in a small town where the predominant belief is that being homosexual is bad. And so if he's carrying that belief in him because he's been given that since birth, you know, then it's something that doesn't serve him. And it's like I think the first big truth that I discovered that's helped me is that if a, you know, quote unquote truth or reality doesn't serve you, you don't have to go with it. And that's like a big leap to take, that like, holy shit, I don't have to like accept the given, you know, rubric or and
that's, you know, to me personally, you know, I've been out of school for a long time, college, but I swear it doesn't feel that long. And the greatest thing that I think that I got from college was realizing that I had a greater stake in creating my own reality based upon how I've defined it. And I've also found in college that things in reality that were defined for me, let's say by parents or society, had an intention behind it. And that intention is usually to exclude certain behaviors and to follow a certain moral or ethical tradition that is not rooted in what is true and what is the right way.
Right.
You know,
Or
there is no universal morality, for example, around certain things. But I know we want to keep this somewhat brief, about 10 minutes. We got 4 minutes to wrap up. I'm going to ask one thing. Well, the thing is like one of the original ideas for this was like to focus on content creators, and I use content creators in a very expansive way. Whether it's someone who writes, that's content, or creates curriculum, or creates films, or any type of digital content, we love the creative process. This is content right now that we're creating because of the tools that we have. So do you, I know you're a writer, and I know you do a whole lot of different things. Do you inject truth into your content? And I know I do, and I know I'm asking you the question because I already know the answer, but maybe the question really is like, what strategies do you use to inject truth?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't go in there being like, I need to bring truth to the world today, and I don't think of it as even injecting truth, but I actually do it more like I'll just like sort of lay it all out there, and afterward see if it's truthful. And so like even in comedy, like if it's not true, people won't laugh. So that's like, and you know, you want people to laugh. But it goes for like not just comedy but drama. Like people won't feel it if it's not truthful. So I keep it I use it more as a way to know if what I wrote is worthwhile and working. You know,
have you ever intentionally put something in to the content you were creating, something that didn't arise like organically? Have you ever, I use the word injected, I don't know, I love the word because it's almost Thanksgiving, I'm thinking of injecting a turkey.
The baster,
right. So is there any time when you said, I absolutely want to make sure that this idea and this message is communicated, as opposed to the organic nature of it? I think I'm looking more on the intentionality of injecting truth as opposed to truth that is revealed in an organic process.
Right. Okay. So yes, because I think it happens when there's like a group of people. I feel like for example, I think like how I grew up, like Asian American, overachievers, super competitive in schools. I felt like we went through a very specific pain and struggle that I felt wasn't being captured in stories and in media, and kind of treated like it doesn't exist. It's not valid to like complain or try to fix it and all these things. So I actually wrote the first pilot I ever wrote, and it got optioned by Fox, was I was trying to bring that truth out into the light. And so
that was like your initial.
yeah, I
You
was like
started with that.
I started
and then
with
you
that.
built the story around it.
Yeah.
Has there been times where, as the story was unfolding, you realized you had to put something in, or else it would get lost? Because I think there's this problem where things are too in your face and pushed too hard that people won't accept them. But then if they're too vague and ambiguous, then people will not pick it up.
Yeah, I think it's more about like how I think like it's true feeling versus like true rhetoric. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
Like so, I'm
going to stop you right there
Yeah.
because you said something I think that's really pivotal to
yeah.
the creative process is feeling
Mm-hmm.
the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does then emotion